Soul Slayers.
As some of you may know, there was a music video that recently went round. It was very interesting. It was very different. We just want to hear a bit more about this video. Like, just if you can go into a bit more about the video, the insight, the perspective you guys were going for it, just so we can get a bit of an understanding of where we're coming from and a different side to what we're actually talking about as well.
She love ride cocky and she love get ed. She say her favorite song drop, baby. Drive the dick, drive the boat. 5, 10, 15, 20.
Now as we're talking, but for me to explain the video and the curation and the aesthetic of the video, I have to talk about the curation and creation of the song. And Too Much actually started with Marsville reaching out to me because he was working on a solo project and he wanted me to write a record for the solo project. Sent me the rhythm, and at first I was not necessarily interested in it, and simply because it was a new sound that I didn't understand. I live in Miami. I went to New York for like 2 weeks, and all I heard was that rhythm, and I saw people's reaction to it. So I understand the importance and the demographic that the rhythm was touching. Before I write any songs, I research the roots of what the song comes from. So when it comes to that song, it's a subgenre of soca / dancehall called Zess. So it's not traditional soca. And the reason why Zess kind of exists in Trinidad and all that kind of exists right now is because of the ostracization and the outcasting of specific people in soca based on their living environments and their look. I don't know if you're aware, and even if you don't want to acknowledge it, in soca there's definitely colorism and classism.
Yeah.
Are people that are now Zess artists and Trinidad artists that were originally soca artists and didn't get the opportunity and platform that they could have because of where they're from and how they look. That's just the bottom line. So if you look at the roots of this, it was based in ostracization, and obviously it's going to create a rebellion. So Trinidad music, you know, I have badmanism in it, but it comes from reality. Gunman love soca music too. Gunman love gal, and gunman love run road, and gunman love juve. But there isn't a place for that in the lyrics for these people. So they took it upon themselves to create their own platform. As you can see, the Zest music and the Trinidad music is not necessarily especially in Trinidad, you know. So these people took to the internet, and obviously people identify with it because it has grown without the support of record labels, of shows, of the carnival structure in general, the mechanics of it. So once you understand where it's birthed from, you understand why I wrote the lyrics the way they did. These people and the demographic are craving that raunchiness and craving the authenticity in its pure form. You know, there's nothing, I believe, wrong with lyrics that create a platform for sexual liberation. At least you have the option to choose so. If you don't choose to, there are other options of music that you can consume. Now, with people like me, I have records, Moan Love, You Are the Air I Breathe, you know, all of these love songs and all of these PG songs that people are saying, like, you know, these are the songs I should do the ABC and XYZ and should lean to. People didn't buy them, people didn't stream them, and people didn't consume them. People did not give a fuck about me until I said, Miller, fuck too much. Let's keep it, it's called a spade. So when people say, like, yo, this song is shit, and this song is this, and this, and that, well, you know, the statistics prove that y'all didn't consume it when it wasn't that. So there is a need for this that I am filling the void. And in all honesty, I'm great at it. You know what I'm saying? And that's because I understand that connection, that pure rawness that people have inside of them that they want to hear. Because at the end of the day, me, you, and everybody that's watching this, our parents, you know, they had sex. Zine. So I don't care if you're a Christian, Jew, or Muslim, we come from somewhere. So I'm giving y'all a platform to procreate. Zine. And you know,
I like that.
To a lot of religious context and pushback that I get, people don't understand. I'm a thoroughly educated person. You did scholarship to a Marist college for theology. I am well versed in the Bible. Zine, I have a degree in business marketing. I have a bachelor's, and I have a certification in audio engineering. I record right here. You see what's going on. So no one can play me for a fool. Everything I do is very calculated. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing this music in this genre for a year, and I'm more successful than some people that have been doing this for a decade. So no one can play me for a fool. You know what I'm saying? So now that we come to the curation of the lyrics and we understand why it is a necessity, let's go to the platform of the music video. This is not soca music. This is Zess music created for a target demographic. If you do not like consuming it, don't click it. Now that, so the music is going to do well and going to generate these numbers because this is what the people want. I gave them what they want. Zine, and everybody that's involved understand the mission and the goal of what we were trying to accomplish. Zine, all the women were paid thoroughly, very respected. Contracts were done. Everything on set was done in the most professional manner. Zine, you know what I'm saying? I respect women. I love women. And specifically, if you look at the video, everyone is darker skinned. Because, and you know, people give me pushback like, oh, that's colorism. Oh, listen, that black woman is beautiful.
Of course, yeah.
And you know, these are sexually liberated women that are not shackled by what the construct of what they should do with their bodies. No one should tell no woman what they should do with their body. Not me, nobody. So if that's what they want to do, let them be sexually liberated and let them be free. And let them express themselves how they want to express them. Because I don't agree with anybody, especially men, telling a woman what to do with their body. I don't think it's right, and I don't agree with it. So now that we have the raunchiness and everything in between, it's to give the platform for the people what they want. Everything that I talk about and everything that is put into this video is things that happen in real life. You know, even the lyrics in the song are based on conversations that I've had with people. You know, when I say, she said her favorite song, Trope Baby, that happened. It's not something I made up. Even with the record, she said, me love fuck too much. That happened. Nothing is made up. So in the topic of discussion of our soca videos being too raunchy, this isn't a soca video. So there's a time and place for everything. And if you are a soca consumer, this is not for you. This is a consumer. As far as soca music videos being raunchy, that's subjective, because anything that I've seen in the realm of soca has a cultural aspect to it that makes it appropriate. So outsiders might look at it like, you know, I don't understand why they have to wear the costumes. I don't understand the mud. I don't understand the paint and the powder. This is too sexualized. But they don't understand the importance of what is taking place on their screen. And that is why people like Mr. Killer, big up Mr. Killer, his video got taken down by Instagram because they don't understand the cultural aspect and the platform and why it is appropriate for what's going.
We've been penalized, you know, countless times with carnival costumes. We've been penalized countless times with video footage of us having a good time, whining on each other, you know, in fetes, in carnival. We always get penalized. But, you know, I've seen countless times other videos from not necessarily our background that are still up, that are just as more or less pornographic, if in a way. I haven't seen Let's Slide on, you know, on Instagram, and I'm a bit like, well, hold on a minute. Why am I seeing this when, you know, my stuff, which is, you know, cultural in a way, is still, you know, being taken down? So that's definitely something we were going to go in there, into.
I mean, first of all, I was listening intently to Klassik, you know, and I really appreciate and like the way how you articulated that. And I really appreciate the fact that you've made that clear distinction between soca and Zess. And I think people need to understand that there is a clear distinction, because soca music has, you know, its roots in culture, as you know. And therefore, as you say, providing a platform for a type of music that people wants to hear, that is perfect, you know, and it's great that that could happen. What I want to pick up on is a little bit more broader than that, because obviously the video reflects the lyrics, and you know, in terms of the aesthetic of the video, you know, the girls that were chosen, the things that they were doing in the video and stuff like that, we could talk about afterwards. But there's something that you spoke about, which is sexual liberation. And when you talk about liberation and that freedom, because to my mind, I'm thinking as a society where we live in more of a liberal society, and as you said, you know, nobody should tell a woman what she should wear, how she should act, or what she should do, and all this sort of thing. And you look at sexuality in itself, when we look at even like, you know, the LGBTQ plus community and all sorts of different things where, you know, that sexuality is concerned, and that liberation. To my mind, I'm thinking, is it that, you know, we are so liberal now that it's kind of like, you know, anything goes, and a platform could be provided for anything that that showcases that liberalism. You know, is there a place in society anymore for morality? Because you talked about theology, and of course, you know, going back in history, obviously it was very religious, and religion played a huge part in society. And of course, as time has evolved and people have evolved, and we've seen that, you know, the reign that religion had in our everyday lives and in society has become less and less influential, especially in certain parts of the world. So, you know, the question is, you know, does that morality, does that sense of morality have any place in today's society?
Yeah, I mean, we've got quite a few comments, you know, like Pon the Road UK, so it's like, so considering your explanation, this genre of music allows for this sexualization. And then we've got another Red Vanessa who's said, I want to see dark-skinned women as love interest in video, not just sexually liberated trophies who like to fuck. So what Giselle said, is there a time and place for this?
I mean, so morality is subjective. Everyone's moral compass is different based on their religious, ethnic, and cultural background. So that is something that is going to be a huge gray area that I can only speak on for myself. Zine. And when it comes to, you know, oh, there's a opportunity for it now, there's always been a demand for it. People just never gave it because they were probably ashamed to do it. With people like me, I don't really confine myself to people's thoughts, opinions, or anything that has to do with anything outside of myself. So I have the freedom, bravery to say what I want to say, how I want to say it, when I want to say it. Nobody gonna do nothing about it. And if you want to do something about it, we could deal with it accordingly. But as far as, you know, people saying like, you know, does it have to be as raunchy and does it have to be this? It doesn't have to be, but it can be. And because it can be,
it is.
It's going to be at some point, and people are going to want it or diswant it. And if people don't want to take it in, they don't have to click it, you don't have to serve it, you don't have to share it. And then I saw in the chat, people had the issue whether kids come in contact with this type of stuff. Raise your kids. Don't let me raise your kids. Don't let the internet raise your kids, and don't let your TV raise your kids. That's the bottom, because I never raised her. I came into contact with it when it was appropriate for me to come into contact with it. You see? And even if they do come in contact with it, if you are a parent, explain what they're consuming so they have some type of context and don't run with it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, there, you know, and in terms of like people consume porn is a reality, porn is what it is, but everything is everything. Morality is subjective, and these people that have a discrepancy with how people are projecting Black women, anything in between, there's different choices, there's different strokes, and you gotta let people be happy with what they want to do, because someone could say like, yo, I don't want Black women to portray themselves like that. And you could say that to someone and it could make them miserable because that's how they want to be. You got to let people live their life and live their truth. That's why we have issues with people being undercover. That's why we have people being not truly being themselves. That's why we have these suicide rates that's out of control. You know what I'm saying? Because people are scared to be themselves. They're scared to be gay. They're scared to be sexually liberated. They're scared to be Black. They're scared to be dark skinned. They're scared to be light. They're scared to be Indian. Because people have so much say so in other people's lives. No one gonna have a say so on what I gotta do. It don't work, so.
But is it that so being you know, and I get that, but does that still mean that you have to put yourself out there in the public domain? So if I'm sexually
No one
liberated, I'm sexually liberated. But why should I, you know, feel the need, or why should there be the need for me to display it publicly?
There is no need. It is a choice. There is no need. I made a choice. These girls made a choice. You're making a choice, not a need.
Right. We're going to take it over to Zaya to get your opinion on this. What, in a nutshell?
First of all, I'd like to thank Klassik for coming on the platform and articulating himself. You're doing a great job, brother, explaining yourself. Marsville is my brethren. I kind of heard the rhythm before it was actually produced too. I only have one objection, that I wasn't invited to the video shoot, but I'm at Marsville later on about that and so forth. I mean, I understand the struggle. As a person that's also from the inner city and so forth, like you said, I kind of understand. I don't fight against any form of black expressions. Any tool or vehicle you could use that's social and mobilize out of the inner city, out of the ghetto, out of the hood, and feed your family is a good thing. Because they're not picking up no guns, they're not selling no crack, they're not selling no cocaine, they're making music. And one of the things that I used to kind of defend the music, and I defend a lot of the youngsters that's singing the Zess music and so forth in the Trinidad. There's a time and a place for everything. We understand that. But we don't allow a child to drive a vehicle because they don't have the maturity or the brain set to deal with the responsibility of driving a vehicle. We don't allow kids to join the army because they're probably not mature enough to follow rules and regulations. We don't allow them to smoke cigarettes or consume alcohol because they're not old enough to deal with the responsibility of it. So likewise with the music when it comes to the Zess music. Truthfully, your young child should not be exposed to that. But there's a genre for everything. He said there is a demand for it. You may not like the demand, but he's supplying the demand. Now, a person once told me that just because it's a demand for it, does that make it beneficial? This is the other argument, just to play advocate here now, because people might say there's a demand for cocaine and crack. That don't mean it's good. There's a demand for a lot of drugs. That don't mean it's good. So just because there's a demand for this type of music, what is the long-term ramification or the implications in this? Are we becoming more, open with our sexuality, which might not be a bad thing, becoming more liberated with our sexuality. But on the flip side about it, I don't see anything wrong with sexually suggestive lyrics. My concern would probably be with more of the violent lyrics, because especially in America, we promote violence. You can see 1,000 violent movies, and we love that. John Wick could kill 1,000 people, and we happy with that. But let Janet Jackson show one breast, all of a sudden the country's up a roar. So yes, still we could kill 1,000 people, and we're good with that, but we got a problem with a black woman showing her breasts. So there is a double standard in regards to that. So I don't fight against any of the kind of sexually explicit lyrics. I'm more open and inclined to deal with that rather than the violent lyrics. I mean, so there is a lane for it, there is an avenue for it, and he made a clear distinction. This is not soca music. So even though you want to hold up the standard of soca and say that there was more articulated, it had more melody, and it had the double entendres, you're right. This is Zess. And when Shabba Ranks was talking about the reggae and the dancehall, there's nothing new. We've been through this before. Understand? When our mothers and fathers was brocking out to Admiral Bailey, give me punani, punani, come on.
And Sugar Bumbo.
On and on. Go back to latest thought. Stop out the meat. Understand? So every generation has the opportunity to express themselves. Let them express themselves. Sooner or later, you just got to realize, you know what? I'm getting a little too old for this, and I think I've outgrown this or matured this. This is where I feel comfortable at. But I don't think it's our place to fight none of the Zess artists, none of the soca artists, none of the young reggae artists that sing in sexually expressive lyrics. That's the way they choose to express themselves, feed their family. I'm all for it.
But in terms of the sexual simulation, so like in the video with the lady with the banana, sexually suggesting, does it have to go that far? As you said, maybe it doesn't probably, but it's a choice. But I just want to ask Klassik, what are your thoughts on the wider implications, if any, in terms of how Black people in general, knowing that we are struggling as a Black community in some parts to be recognized, and you know, a part of me, I just hate saying this, but in terms of being on par, you know, when you speak to anybody else, they'll say that, you know, the Black community is at the bottom of the pile, economically, you know, and politically, and all that, as a community. Do you think that this is feeding into that narrative?
Absolutely not, because our issues are systematic, and that's not bound to our sexual expression. Even the argument of I'm gonna point out something, right? When I made music videos and I was doing dancehall, when you do dancehall, you have to have 3 versions of the video. You have to have a BET, a MTV, and a regular version. The P1 has more stringent rules against it. Those rules. You cannot have a girl that's bent over and or fully. This is at the angles. Historically, shaken bottom and waist is part of our culture. It comes from Africans.
Yeah.
So just off the strength of that, you're telling us we can't do that. It's part of the systematic control. So, you know, when you say, oh, we're feeding into certain things, it's like it's just part of who we are. And then these people, white or not, are telling us we're not allowed to do it. So no, I don't think that we're feeding into the narrative of anything when it was designed for us to be destroyed to begin with. Taking the opportunity to decide that we're not gonna do what they want us to do. Even going outside, how we wear our hair or how we what we consider professional is not necessarily professional, it's just European.
Yes, no, I agree with that one.
You know, we have to go in a suit and tie, but if we were in any you know, not in any other, but in different places, it's not a suit and tie, it's a dashiki. You know, it's different stuff. So no, I don't believe that we're feeding into the narrative of that systematic. That has nothing to do with musical expression or art. Because even historically, these same people are the same people that, you know, would do acid and paint paintings. But if we did the same thing, it'd be an issue. You know, one of the greatest artists of all time, painters, he went insane, cut off his own ear. You know what I'm saying? Even you know, I'm super into pirates because a person in my crew, you know, his family is pirates. And you know, famous pirate of all time, he has syphilis. He went crazy and died. But he's glorified. But we can't even have someone that lived a pure life, someone like maybe Haile Selassie, without being ostracized. So we there's a lot of things that has to do with this music thing that I feel is just miseducation. And I feel like these rules and constructs are just more things to hold us down. Because the more we do what we want to do, there is power in that. As long as it's not destructive to our culture, like crack cocaine and everything in between. And the same way you say, you know, people feed into narratives, are we feeding into narratives of certain stuff? MTV wasn't built off of Black people initially. It was a bunch of white people having music videos.
Yeah.
Madonna, Zine, she come from the disco era. Disco era was built off of Black and homosexuals and drugs. And guess what? She was singing about gay stuff, sex and drugs, and it wasn't a problem. So no, it's not, I can't feed into the idea of where justifying the abuse when the abuser does it every day in broad day.
It's rough. you know?
I grew up on
point when they say the video is raw. Yes, it is raw. We understand that. But whether you shoot me in my foot, shoot me in my back, or shoot me in my head, you still shot me. So the point is, when white America and white society come with all their other poison and all their other genre and all their exploitation, it's not a problem for them. But when we choose to do it, they have an issue.
And they taught us to have an issue when we do it. We didn't wake up and say shaking bottom is a bad thing. White people did.
We hope you're enjoying the content. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel.
Carnival Slayers.